Greetings, and welcome back to this video series on the new An Tir authorization portal. This series will provide instructions on the new authorization portal and the upgraded capabilities that it has. This video will cover how the Kingdom Authorization Officer interacts with the system. The Kingdom Authorization Officer has the most capabilities of any user. These revolve around the ability to act as another user. Another unique feature of the Authorization Officer is that, unlike the other martial officers, there is no requirement that the Authorization Officer be a marshal or even an authorized fighter. This means that there's a separation between the actions the Authorization Officer performs as themselves and the actions they perform as someone else. To illustrate this, let's go to a user page. This fighter, Jesse, is currently authorized as an armored combat fighter. Just like the Kingdom Marshals, the Authorization Officer is allowed to appoint and remove officers. They are also allowed to issue and manage sanctions. If you would like to understand those processes in detail, you should view the Martial Officer training video. Scrolling down to the authorization portion of the page, we see that there are a pair of drop-downs for authorizing martial and concurring fighters. The Authorization Officer account in this testing environment is a Senior Rapier Marshal, but doesn't have any other Senior Marshal designations. When we click to add an authorization, we see that it allows us to choose any authorization style and discipline. For all other users, they will only see the disciplines that they are approved to issue authorizations for. When we choose to submit this authorization, we see that we get an error message because this user isn't able to issue that authorization. This is where the unique ability of the Authorization Officer comes into account. As the Authorization Officer, I can authorize as another person. Here I'm going to authorize as Louis. This feature will be used if someone sends in paperwork to authorize, so it shouldn't happen often. Now, according to the new society rules, the first time someone is authorized in a discipline, we need to have a second signer. That second signer must be an authorized fighter or marshal in that discipline. Here, we can choose that concurring fighter as well. Now we see that the authorization has gone through and lists Louis as the authorizing marshal. There are two types of authorizations that we didn't discuss in previous videos because they have an extra complication. Those are youth combat marshals and equestrian authorizations. If someone wants to be an authorized marshal for youth combat, they need to have a background check from the society. The way we handle this is that the individual can be authorized as a marshal, but that authorization doesn't take effect until the background check is confirmed by the Kingdom Authorization Officer. Let's walk through that process. Now that we've gone ahead and submitted it as the marshal, we can go down, page reloads, and we can see that it's pending. We also have the ability to approve as another user. So we're going to go ahead and confirm this authorization as a second account. Note how it shows up as pending background check. There is no button to accept or approve the authorization. That's because the way we have to handle it now is to add a background check expiration to their account. This brings us to the next feature that the authorization officer has. Every user is allowed to edit their own account information. In addition, the Kingdom Authorization Officer is allowed to edit any other individual's account. This allows the authorization officer to act as an administrator who can correct issues. Here we can edit the user information. There are two additional sections here that a regular user does not have. The first is for membership. As we discussed in the fighter video, when a user inputs their membership number, the system checks against the membership database to confirm that it's valid. There are cases where the CSV the society gives us has an issue. For instance, a fighter may have moved into the kingdom, but is still being listed under a different kingdom. The authorization officer can click this button and add a note to override the check for whether they are in the member database. The other field is the background check expiration. Only the Kingdom Authorization Officer has the ability to put in a background check expiration. The Kingdom Authorization Officer can get the background check expiration information either from the Kingdom Seneschal or from the person wanting to be a marshal, and then we'll need to enter it here. If a user gets their background check information, such as by taking a screenshot from the SCA portal, they can upload it here. And now, so the user can do this for themselves, and they can also view the documents that they have uploaded, as can the authorization officer. So once we have confirmed either through this uploaded document or through the document sent to us by the Seneschal, we will go ahead and put in the background check expiration. Now that we're back at the fighters page, and we refresh, we can see that their authorization has gone through. For equestrian authorizations, these are handled by the Equestrian Marshal Authorizations Deputy. That officer uses the full permissions of a Kingdom Authorization Officer account, and so has all of the abilities as listed in this video. So we'll discuss how the equestrian authorizations specifically differ. For an equestrian authorization, an event-specific waiver must be submitted for each authorization. This is different from the other combat authorizations, where it only needs to be submitted once and the membership waiver can cover it. Since these waivers are roster waivers and are specific to each state or province, they will continue to be filled out by hand. In order to get them into the system, the marshal in charge of the event will upload them to the system after the event. Let's go ahead and walk through the process. We'll start by authorizing this fighter. The equestrian authorizations are more complicated than the other martial activities, but the system has those rules built in. For instance, a senior marshal is only allowed to perform new authorizations for jousting if that senior marshal is also authorized for jousting. The system checks the existing authorizations that the fighter has and the marshal has in order to confirm that the authorization is legal. Now we see that the authorization is pending the Kingdom Equestrian waiver. In this case, the authorization officer can hit approve because it's possible that that waiver was sent in via an email. The standard process will be for the marshal who submitted the authorization to also submit the document. We'll go ahead and show how that can be done outside of the account page. This page allows us to upload documents to the system. For most users, they will only be able to see documents that they have either personally uploaded or have been attached to their account, such as for an equestrian waiver. As the Kingdom Authorization Officer and the Equestrian Authorization Officer, we're able to see all of the documents that have been attached to the system. But we will go ahead and upload a document. And when we choose the equestrian waiver, we need to select the jurisdiction, and we need to select which fighters this was attached to. Once we've chosen the fighters, we will be able to attach it to a specific equestrian authorization. In order to submit an equestrian waiver, it needs to be attached to at least one authorization. Unlike adding a background check expiration, uploading this waiver does not automatically approve the authorization. The Equestrian Authorization Officer will need to go into the account, view the file, and view the user account to make sure that they match up. Back at the authorizations homepage, we can see that the system generates an alert to let us know that a document has been added. We will go ahead and view that document, and we'll view the user account to confirm that the legal name matches both documents. Now that we've confirmed that, we will go ahead and approve this authorization. The next capability is to merge accounts. The system allows users to create their own accounts. While there are safeguards in place, it is possible that one person accidentally creates two accounts. If someone reaches out to you and says that they have two accounts, you have the ability to merge them. This is not a reversible process, so you want to make sure that it's actually needed. On the authorization homepage, we can see that there is a button to merge accounts. On this page, you will first choose what the older account is, and you can confirm using the user ID, the username, and the email that you have the correct account. Then we'll need to check that what the new account is that will inherit the authorization. Now that we've confirmed both, we will preview what the merged account will look like. So here we see there are authorizations that are owned by the account Shapiro and the account Svin. The new account will have both of these authorizations. Since we chose Svin to be our newer account, all of his information is carried over, including his username, his login credentials, his real name, and his SCA name. We can override any of these values if we want. Once we have confirmed that the information is correct, we will add a note and then perform the merge. So for the old account, the ID still exists in the system, but it's set up as a redirect now. So if we refresh this page, we see that we are redirected to the new single canonical page. Let's go back to the authorization home page to see the two additional features. We mentioned earlier that membership information is checked against the member database. The way this works is that the SCA bot sends the Kingdom Seneschal a file about once a week with the membership information. The Seneschal will pass that file to the Kingdom Authorization Officer periodically, the officer that can upload that CSV file into the website. The system will confirm how many rows were added and will also let us know what the name of the most recent file upload was and what date it was uploaded. The actual membership data cannot be seen by anyone, not even the Kingdom Authorization Officer. The Kingdom Authorization Officer is the only account that can upload the file and see what was previously uploaded. The final feature is this section at the top called Require Kingdom Authorization Officer Verification. By default, the system is set up so when the marshals attempt to authorize a new user, the system will check against the list of rules, including checking their membership if it is entered, and will only pass the authorization through if it follows all of the rules. The biggest result of this is that the Kingdom Authorization Officer position moves from one that requires constant data entry into one that is focused on fixing issues that arise and dealing with the occasional request to add users outside the system. If the Kingdom Authorization Officer wants to make sure that they have the ability to check all the authorizations that come through, such as when the system is new and not yet trusted, they can turn on this feature. What it will do is force all authorizations that would be approved to instead enter into needs Kingdom approval status. This status can only be modified by the Kingdom Authorization Officer accounts. Let's turn that on and put some authorizations into this status. I've gone ahead and put some authorizations as needing Kingdom approval. If we scroll down, we can see that these now appear at the bottom of the page as an alert for the Authorization Officer. For each of these, you can click to the user page and mark them as approved from either their home page or the fighter page. In addition, there is a button to approve all needs Kingdom approval authorizations, which does exactly what it sounds like it does. When the Authorization Officer decides that the system isn't needed anymore, they can switch it off. Doing so marks all of the current pending authorizations as approved. That concludes this video on using the authorization portal as the Kingdom Authorization Officer. The videos in this series will show you how to use the system as other types of users. Please make sure to review all of the videos that match the level of access that you will have in the system.